I was a cast member at Walt Disney World for 5 years. I worked at Pandora, the world of Avatar, when a kid decided to pull the fire alarm for fun, and this is a cast member story. If you know about Walt Disney World, I'm sure you've heard of Pandora, the world of Avatar, one of the most successful and busiest lands at the entire resort. Now it contains 2 attractions, the NaVi River Journey and Avatar Flight of Passage, and they get very, very busy. It is not uncommon for a 4-hour line to pop up for Flight of Passage, and even still to this day, there's even 2-hour-long lines for NaVi River Journey, which is a long time for the boat ride. Now, the land is incredible, it's amazing, and its first year from people were going in to see some of the floating mountains, to see some of the interactive plants, and how everything glue at night. It was chaos, in a good way. Disney tried their best, they had a lot of cast members there to try and help the crowds and all that, but there was a lot of people in this land. So, a little bit after the land had opened, I wasn't there for the official opening day team, but I did join within the first year of it being open. I was asked, hey, would you like to go full-time and work at Avatar Flight of Passage? I accepted. I did the training. I was there in the land every day with the guests. To be honest, it was a dream and is one of the coolest attractions I've ever worked. I was able to work for a couple of different rides at Walt Disney World, but Avatar Flight of Passage was so wild because it was working on a brand new attraction with amazing tech, really, really excited people in a very, very cool land for a movie that I like. So, we have guests every single day. If you've been to the park, you will have seen the 2-3 hour long line that lines up every single day for Avatar Flight of Passage. I understand it is one of, if not the coolest rides ever built. For people to hate on simulators all the time, this isn't a simulator, it's like a euphoric experience. Well, one day I was coming into work around 1 p.m. and you have to walk backstage. That's how you get to the rides. Of course, many of the attractions we don't walk through the front entrance. Magic Kingdom's a little different where you can sneak underground, but for a lot of the other parks, you still try to find backstage ways to be able to get to your ride so that people don't see you carrying in backpacks and such. Now, I'm walking backstage at Animal Kingdom on a back service road that goes behind the land, and I turn to behind where Flight of Passage and NaVi River Journey on. It's important to know, NaVi River Journey and Flight of Passage, while they're separate attractions, are the same building. They've got a similar system that connects them all together. Them being together is a very important fact. I turn the corner and look, and I see thousands and thousands of everyday guests backstage. This obviously makes me go, oh no, what on earth has happened? Why are there so many people? What's going on? This isn't normal at all. Even seeing more than 2 or 3 people backstage was kind of weird. I will say, probably once or twice a day you would find a guest backstage because Flight of Passage is such a big ride and has such an immense queue. When it first opened, there wasn't a restroom, so families would quite often just walk out one of the emergency exits trying to find a restroom, or they would just get bored and leave. You'd be surprised how many people will just walk out of something even if there are signs that say there's danger. We'd always just walk them back to the front, no problem. But seeing thousands of people, I immediately knew that something severely had gone wrong. As I didn't see any fire department or any police or anything like that, I assumed that no one was necessarily hurt, but clearly people aren't supposed to be back here. I'm sent over to go and check in at a different location that's backstage. Check in there, whatever, we'll deal with this in a minute. Leave my backpack and such there. I go back to the building and I immediately head inside and I go, hey, coordinators, leaders, what's happening? Because there's clearly a frenzy happening. And they go, well, the fire alarm went off, but there's no fire. We think someone pulled the fire alarm, but we're not really sure. Let me rephrase that. They knew that the fire alarm had been pulled, but they weren't exactly sure the reason why. They didn't know at that exact moment, did a guest think they actually saw something, or was it a joke? We find out later, it was a joke because the kid thought it would be funny. This kid, of course, did not know that that would require dumping 4,000 people into a land that can hold 4,000, but it was already holding thousands of others waiting to get in the ride. Now, if you've never been through Flight of Passage, the queue just goes on and on and on. There are numerous spots to get guests out of the building in case there's a fire, and I will say 100% the fire training that I had for that attraction was fantastic. Disney really does care about safety a lot. In fact, they go a little nuts when they're telling you about the safety because they're so particular about it for moments like this. Building was evacuated, as I said before I even got there. People were all coming out of the ways they were supposed to, but there's so many people and they end up in so many places. Well, it's a policy for Disney that if there is a fire alarm pulled, they're not worrying about FastPass, they're not worrying about angry guests, they're worrying about everybody's safety. So the idea is get everyone out of the building immediately. There's a problem with that. You just waited for a FastPass. At the time, there wasn't Lightning Lane, it was still FastPass. And you have waited all day, maybe woke up 2 months in advance to have grabbed this FastPass, and it doesn't matter anymore. You're out of the building. We don't even know if you were in the building because we were worrying about getting everybody out as quickly as possible. So now you have 4,000 people, some of which had just gotten in line, some of which had been in line for 2 hours, and some of which had that FastPass. All of them are now in the same boat. You're not riding. It was a safety feature. You can imagine how angry people were. That was also the reason that by the time I even clocked in and got everything set up and was told where to go, I was told to go to the front for basically to hold back the chaos. There was already security up there. We had the president of security, the head of security for the day. We also had our proprietor of the entire land was there. We had all of our coordinators and basically all of our managers that weren't trying to get the building back up and running again. Woo! There was guest after guest after guest after guest after guest screaming, cursing people out, yelling. Surprisingly, at least from my perspective, I never saw someone physically attack someone else, and you think, how crazy is that? Why would someone physically attack someone over a ride? And that's a cast member story for another day. But there was furious people. And to be honest, I do slightly understand. If you waited all this time or got your FastPass, I would want to be on the ride as well. And there is no recovery. It's not like when a ride breaks down, we go, here's a FastPass, come back later, let me scan your magic band. There's none. Zero. Disney doesn't do it. Because it's not about worrying about if you're having a great day at that point. It's worrying about, are you going to burn alive? So the whole rest of the day, once we get the ride back open, we have people being like, I was already on it. I was already on it. Here's a picture of me on it. I was waiting in line. I had a FastPass. Doesn't matter. But that was the answer. You are not going on this ride to the Lightning Lane or the FastPass lane just because you ran it before. So it's something to know if that ever happens to you before. You can fight as much as you want. If they're not doing it there for a brand new attraction, they're not going to do it somewhere else. I just wish so badly. Obviously, this wouldn't be the most humane thing to do. I wish we could have gotten that kid and made him just stand in front of all the people and just been like, this is the reason you're so angry right now. We did everything we were supposed to. We got you out safely. You see this child? I don't know the age. But do you see this child? They are the reason you are so mad right now. And they're the reason our entire operation is going to be royally messed up until we close tonight. I don't really know exactly a better way that could be taking care of it. You do want to focus on safety. Obviously, a FastPass is not worth as much as risking someone's life, but it does cause a lot of chaos. Fire alarms and stuff like that are extremely rare for Disney as well as all the theme parks. But still, it's something that has to be taken very seriously, even if you know there's not really a fire. Even if you watch the person pull it, you gotta treat it like it's a real emergency. I would love to know, have you ever been in an attraction, whether or not it was a fire related, but been in an attraction that was broken down or didn't work, you were stuck in line, or even cooler, you were stuck on the ride itself and instead had to move and get moved off the track, and they had to kind of, the cast members had to kind of save you. I would love to know any of those stories if you want to leave them in the comments below. But until then, do not pull the fire alarm, or else you'll send 50 plus cast members throughout their entire day going, I don't know, I'm sorry, and you will be the actual reason that people's vacations are ruined. And that's a cast member story.